This video will give you 7 no-fluff spiritual hacks to help you escape poverty, attract real love, improve your health, and finally get your life moving forward. These aren't vague ideas or motivational slogans. They're specific, actionable principles backed by the work of Carl Jung, Jacobo Grinberg, and Dr. Joe Dispenza. Together, their research reveals a consistent truth. Your reality isn't fixed. It responds to your thoughts, emotions, and habits. Whether you're tired of never having enough, feeling alone, or stuck in the same patterns, these principles will show you how to create real momentum and real change. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to shift your internal state, protect your energy, and finally start seeing results on the outside. The first spiritual hack is an error you make daily without even realizing it. You get a burst of inspiration, a new idea, a plan, a decision to change something in your life. And before you've taken your first real step, you've already told someone, a friend, a partner, maybe even social media. It feels harmless, motivating even. But there's a hidden cost. Every time you speak your goals out loud before they're real, you leak energy, you dissipate focus, and you invite other people's doubts, projections, and subtle resistance into something that hasn't even taken form yet. Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican neuroscientist and consciousness researcher, described reality as a projection of the mind interacting with a kind of neural or energetic field. When you introduce outside opinions too early, you destabilize the frequency you're trying to hold. You break the coherence of your own intention. Carl Jung pointed to the unconscious influence of the collective. When you share your desire, other people's unresolved fears or limiting beliefs begin to mix with your own. You might not notice it, but their energy starts infecting your clarity. And Joe Dispenza, who's become one of the most influential voices connecting neuroscience with spiritual transformation, explains this in biological terms. When you talk about your goals, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical you'd get if you had already succeeded. This tricks your mind into thinking the work is done. The motivation fades before the first action even begins. So if you've ever had an idea or breakthrough, told someone about it, and felt it collapse, that's not random. That's feedback. The fix is simple. Protect your seed until it sprouts. Build your vision in private. Let your results speak for themselves. Silence is not secrecy. Silence is power. The second spiritual hack happens in the most overlooked moment of your day, the few minutes right before you fall asleep. Most people spend that time scrolling through social media, replaying the day's problems, or mentally stressing about tomorrow. But if you understood what your brain is doing in that window, you'd treat it like sacred ground. As you drift into sleep, your brain naturally passes through theta brainwave states, the same states that hypnotherapists use to access the subconscious. In this moment, your mind becomes highly suggestible. You're not just falling asleep, you're programming your inner world. Joe Dispenza talks about this constantly. He explains that your subconscious doesn't change through willpower. It changes through repetition plus emotion, especially in states where the analytical mind is quiet. And nothing creates that opportunity more reliably than the moment before sleep. Jacobo Grinberg believed reality itself is a projection of consciousness, that the world you see isn't separate from you. It's shaped by your perception. And your perception is shaped by the subconscious. So if you fall asleep in fear, scarcity, or regret, you're feeding the projector with images you don't want more of. So here's the hack. Every night, as you fall asleep, visualize your desired life in vivid detail. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were already true. Gratitude, excitement, peace. Not longing, not hope, certainty. Don't just see it, be inside it. Live a few minutes of the new reality as if it's happening now. This isn't woo-woo, it's neuroplasticity. You're laying down new circuits, and those circuits shape your perception, your choices, and eventually your outcomes. Your subconscious is always listening. Make sure you're telling it the right story, especially when it's quiet enough to believe you. The third spiritual hack is one of the most destructive habits people carry without noticing: the way they speak about themselves and their life. Every time you say, "I can't afford that," or "that's just my luck," or "nothing ever works out for me," you're not just describing your reality, you're reinforcing it over and over again, until it becomes a self-fulfilling loop. Carl Jung emphasized that our unconscious beliefs are the true authors of our behavior. What you repress, deny, or normalize in language is often a direct expression of your shadow. And it doesn't stay in your head. It seeps into the choices you make, the opportunities you reject, and the way the world reflects back to you. Joe Dispenza explains this through the lens of neurobiology. Your brain is plastic. It wires itself according to the thoughts you repeat and the emotional states you live in. If your words constantly echo scarcity, limitation, or powerlessness, your brain adjusts. You begin to notice less, expect less, and unconsciously sabotage the very outcomes you're hoping for. Even if you meditate and visualize, your spoken language could be sending a completely different signal to your subconscious and to the quantum field around you. So here's the hack. Become hyper-aware of how you describe yourself and your life. Catch every phrase rooted in lack. Then flip it. "I can't afford that" becomes, "That's not my priority right now." "Nothing ever works out for me" becomes, "Everything is adjusting in my favor, even if I can't see it yet." "I'm not lucky" becomes, "I'm aligning with what's mine." It may feel unnatural at first. That's a sign you've been running the old program too long. Grinberg believed your perception was the blueprint for your reality. Change the internal code, and the outer structure has no choice but to follow. So start with your words. They're not just habits, they're spells. Speak carefully. Speak as if the universe is always listening, because it is. The fourth tip is one of the most underestimated spiritual practices, and also one of the most powerful. It's the reason some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly while others keep hitting walls, even when they're working hard or trying to manifest. It's not just mindset. It's the emotional state you live in, especially when no one's watching. Most people wait until their life improves before they allow themselves to feel good. They think happiness, peace, and satisfaction are rewards that come after the success, but energetically the sequence is reversed. Joe Dispenza teaches that the emotions you practice now are signals to your brain and body. When you feel elevated states like joy, peace, and gratitude in advance, your nervous system begins to embody a new future as if it's already real. This isn't pretending. It's preconditioning your reality. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful events that seem to fall into place at just the right time. These don't happen randomly. They happen when your internal state is aligned with the field of possibility. Jacobo Grinberg would say that your consciousness, when harmonized, sends out a stable signal into the energetic matrix. And the clearer that signal, the more coherent the feedback. The simplest way to tune into this alignment is gratitude. But not just for what you already have, for what you're stepping into. Here's the hack. Each morning, write down or say 3 things you're grateful for as if they've already happened. I'm grateful for the deep, loving relationship I'm experiencing. I'm grateful for the new opportunities that found me this week. I'm grateful for how grounded and energized I feel in my body. Don't rush it. Feel it. Emotion is the key. Gratitude tells your subconscious the shift has already occurred, and the more real it feels inside, the faster it becomes real outside. The 5th tip is something most people resist because it feels counterintuitive, but it's one of the fastest ways to unblock your energy and let change actually happen. Here it is. You have to let go. The more you obsess over the outcome, the more you delay it. The more you chase, check, and stress, the more you push it away. It feels like you're being proactive, but energetically, you're broadcasting fear, doubt, and lack. Joe Dispenza calls this trying to create a new future with the emotions of your past. When you cling to a result, you're still rooted in the identity of the person who doesn't have it yet. You're affirming the gap, not the goal. Jacobo Grinberg would describe this as tension in the field. The more emotional pressure you apply to a desire, the more you distort the coherence needed for manifestation. It's like trying to see your reflection in a pond while thrashing the water. And Carl Jung understood this too. The ego wants control, wants certainty, wants to force results. But the deeper self, the archetypal core of who you really are, operates in alignment, not in desperation. Detachment is not giving up. It's trusting the process enough to stop clinging. Here's the hack. Set the intention clearly, take aligned action, and then mentally release it. Let the outcome arrive in its own time and form. Stop checking, stop measuring, stop squeezing the desire so tightly that it can't breathe. The less emotional weight you attach to the outcome, the faster it arrives. Because now, the universe isn't responding to your fear. It's responding to your faith. Desire it fully. Then detach completely. Stop affirming the gap. The sixth tip is what separates daydreamers from actual manifestors. You have to act, but you don't have to announce it. Most people get stuck thinking that visualizing, affirming, and journaling are enough. But without aligned action, even the most powerful intention stays trapped in the mind. The energetic loop isn't complete until it enters the physical world. Joe Dispenza explains that when you take action consistent with a new identity, you're reinforcing new neural pathways. Each step you take tells the brain, "This is who I am now." That action feeds the belief, and the belief strengthens the action. It creates a self-reinforcing loop. Carl Jung would say this is how individuation happens. You don't become your higher self by thinking about it. You embody it through your decisions, your discipline, and the way you show up when no one's watching. And Jacobo Grinberg would point out that action is how you signal intention into the field. Not by force, but through quiet alignment. Big movements aren't always needed. What matters is energetic integrity. Are you living as the version of you who already knows it's coming? So here's the hack. Take silent, steady action toward what you want. Don't overtalk it. Don't seek validation. Don't make a performance out of your growth. Enroll in the course. Make the call. Change your schedule. Wake up an hour earlier. Meditate, even when it's boring. Show up, even if no one sees you doing it. Action doesn't just build progress, it builds identity. And once your identity shifts, reality follows. Quiet action carries the strongest signal because it's not done for approval. It's done from alignment. The seventh tip might feel strange at first, because it flips everything you've been taught about how change works. We're told to wait for evidence before we believe, to wait for results before we celebrate, to wait for success before we start acting successful. But that mindset keeps you locked in the very reality you're trying to escape. Joe Dispenza teaches that you can't create a new life from the same level of identity that built the old one. If you want your outer world to change, your internal state has to shift first. And not just in thoughts, but in how you feel, move, and show up. Right now. Jacobo Grinberg would say that your consciousness emits a frequency that shapes the field around you. When your thoughts, emotions, and behavior align with the version of you who already has what you want, the field begins to reorganize in your favor. Carl Jung understood this in symbolic terms. The archetype you embody determines what you attract. If you stay stuck in the story of the struggler or the outsider, life keeps reflecting that back to you. But if you step into the energy of the sovereign, the healer, the creator, everything around you starts to shift. Here's the hack. Without forcing anything, begin to embody the version of you who already has what you want. Not just in your mind, but in your tone, your posture, your daily rhythms. If you were already loved, how would you carry yourself? If you were already free, how would you walk into a room? If you were already abundant, how would you speak about money? You're not pretending. You're collapsing the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. And when that gap disappears, so does the waiting. You don't need more theories. You need alignment. The kind that lives in your nervous system, in your habits, and in how you show up when no one's watching. These 7 principles aren't meant to be consumed. They're meant to be practiced, quietly, consistently, and unapologetically. If even one of these landed, pick it. Apply it today. Don't wait, because your reality shifts when your energy does, and energy shifts the moment you decide. Now, if you're ready to go deeper into the hidden systems that keep you stuck, you need to see this next video about the oldest trap in human history, Saturn's black cube. You've been inside it your whole life. Watch it next. Your exit starts there.